NileFM.
This is Cairo's #1.
Now.
NileFM Aware.
Indeed it is, and tonight with me in the studio, Dr. Malika from MS Care. Now, you really want to stay tuned around for this one because we're going to be talking about something that really needs to be discussed right here in Egypt, right here on NILE FM's Aware.
Cairo's #1. NileFM.
Welcome to yet another episode of NILE FM's Aware with me tonight, and it's such a pleasure to have you here because before I introduce you, you actually got in touch via the email of NILE FM's Aware, and you told me about this organization, what it's doing, addressing a disease that is so not known. Very, very, very little about it is known here in Egypt, and it's a breath of fresh air to see an organization tackling something like this and spreading awareness about it. Welcome, Dr. Malika from MS Care. Thank you very much for having me, for getting on the show.
Thank you for having me.
First, right off the bat, MS Care, multiple sclerosis. What exactly is MS or multiple sclerosis?
Well, multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease that is a chronic disease that attacks your central nervous system, which is your brain, your spinal cord, and your optical nerves. Basically, it is a disease that attacks the fatty tissue that surrounds your nerves, and it's your immune system basically fighting your own brain and your own nervous system. What that does is it causes you to have disabilities such as visual loss, imbalance, pain, numbness, and tingling throughout your body. So it is a very active disease that is very debilitating, as well as in certain people, it can affect them very mildly. However, others can be wheelchair bound relatively quickly.
Now, because one of the things that I just wanted to get out of the way from the very, very, very get-go. Can multiple sclerosis be defended against?
Unfortunately, multiple sclerosis is an incurable disease at this time. They do not know what causes multiple sclerosis. However, there's many theories as to what brings it on. However, there are different types of treatments that can be anything from dietary to medicational.
That's exactly what I was going to get to as well. I know that MS cannot be fought against, but you can live with it.
Yes, it's a very livable disease if you learn how to live with it the right way.
Dr. Mona from the MS Care organization, an organization that I really want to know more about. Now, I'm very curious to know what MS Care as an organization is doing about it.
MS Care was established in 2009 with funders consisting of combination of a few patients, not all of them, and a few doctors. Since then, we continue to grow with the new numbers joining regularly. As a licensed organization, our mission is to bring awareness to the public and patients and to be acknowledged by our government that multiple sclerosis is very well present and many of patients are here in Egypt. It's a chronic disease that needs to be recognized by people and should be on the list of chronic diseases insured by the government to provide assistance, as MS is very common.
Actually, I wanted to stop you there for a second and ask you, do you have any statistics about like maybe how many people have MS?
Yes,
is there something like this?
We don't have that exact statistics by the health ministry, but we know that in Egypt there is around 50,000 now. Wow. And yes, and I think many others, a few thousand not diagnosed and not treated, not being treated at the moment.
How can you get diagnosed? Where can you get diagnosed? What to do? What to watch out for?
Well, primarily, main patients will be complaining of issues with either their vision or dizziness, loss of balance, pain in their arms, and numbness, etc. The primary diagnosis would be with a brain MRI, which is usually done with contrast, which is a dye that helps radiologists to detect types of lesions which are considered scars on the brain. This is how you get diagnosed primarily. Following that, you will go through another battery or routine of tests to diagnose that it's actually the multiple sclerosis or any other type of disease.
Fair enough. And where exactly do you do this? Do we have these facilities here in Egypt?
We do. There's many common radiology centers, but the primary centers are the large radiology centers. Basically want to use a proper MRI equipment that is up to date.
And I mean, just so that everybody listening can be on board with this, if I need you to recommend someone, can I contact MS Care and you guys can give me a recommendation?
Absolutely. We've actually associated a few radiology centers who have been willing to do actually even diagnoses with discounts for people with multiple sclerosis and laboratory tests.
Very, very good. Now, once you are diagnosed, what exactly should I be looking out for? You mentioned something about dietary treatment and maybe medicinal treatment.
Yes.
I'm more interested in the dietary version.
In the beginning, patients will typically have moments of depression or whatnot. It's something like, how do I live with this? There's nothing like being told you have a chronic or a life-threatening disease. So the best thing to do at that moment is to make a life change. Evaluate your diet. Evaluate what you're doing in your life that you could do differently to improve your health standards.
Now, Ale as well from MS Care, an organization designed and dedicated to spreading awareness about a disease of which so little is known here in Egypt, namely MS or multiple sclerosis. Ale, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And I guess what I want to know right now, we talked about what MS is as a disease, we talked about MS Care as an organization, but what exactly are your goals? I mean, what are you trying to achieve here in Egypt?
Our goal is to provide awareness to families, patients, to all people to know about the disease. Some patients need expensive medications, so we have to aware them to start with the low-rate medications instead of the expensive medications, to direct them to the correct direction and system to walk on the right path, and hope so government will hear our voice, so our voices could one day be heard.
That's very, very admirable. So basically, I mean, if I can wrap it up in a nutshell, it's basically trying to help people diagnose the disease, as well as once it is diagnosed, how to manage it and still live a normal life.
Yes.
Perfect. I mean, I'm going to have to ask, what kind of channels do you use? I mean, do you go door to door, or do you do info sessions at some place, or how do you do this?
We do gatherings and meetings to give awareness. Our organization is to meet new patients, to meet other people who want to know about the diagnosis, and we sit and we just chit-chat together, and we always try to find a situation that we could do to get out of this expensive medication and to help other people.
Basically providing them with low-cost alternatives, so to speak. Thank you. I mean, that's just very, very, very beautiful. Dr. Malika, you were talking earlier about how to get diagnosed, what kind of MRI machines that we need to go to, radiology centers, etc., etc. I just have this feeling that a lot of people are asking, well, how can I trust this person? How can I trust that person? Are there that kind of doctors here in Egypt?
Absolutely. You want to be sure that when you select your doctor, it's going to be a neurologist or a neurosurgeon, first of all, who's going to be handling your case, but he needs to be specialized in multiple sclerosis, not just your typical neurologist or neurosurgeon. You need to watch for certain doctors who will immediately jump to providing you medications that are very expensive. You want to start with the least amount of treatment and increase according to your stage of the disease.
There you have it. I mean, that's pretty straightforward and simple as well. Dr. Malika, Dr. Mona, Ale, thank you so much for, first of all, for this wonderful initiative, this organization that is trying to do some positive impact in Egypt and give back to our community, as well as thank you for coming on the show. I really, really appreciate you guys taking the time.
Well, thank you, NileFM, and thank you, Adham.
My pleasure. Just as a final message, as I always say, if you are one of these individuals that is working with an organization or with a social development program, basically doing whatever it is that can contribute and add impact and give back to our community, I would love to hear from you. Email me, tell me about your organization or your initiative. Let me know what you guys are doing at aware@nileradioproductions.net. That's aware@nileradioproductions.net. I would love to hear from you, and I'd love to have you here on the show. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have here tonight. I'll catch you on Saturday, though, with another group of individuals giving back to our community right here on NileFM's AWARE.